What's good, homies? We are live from sunny South Central Los Angeles, California. I'm Mark, and I am a recovering codependent narcissist. What is self-love? That's a term that, so many people in the new age or spiritual communities use. And, that's really kind of like a term or a word that I don't really have any conceptual reference around. Because the honest answer is, I'm not entirely sure what self-love is. This is a new idea. It's definitely like a work in progress for show. Only now that I'm in a place where my fears are, somewhat manageable, can I even begin to understand, this concept. And even saying that my fears are manageable, I'm not even sure if this is really a true statement, because fears are fucking super hard to find because our ego covers them up and tells us they don't even exist. But really, for the last 2 years, all I've been doing is focusing on fears. And I'm kind of tired of that. So I'm switching gears. And I'm going to start focusing my intent more on loving myself. Because I can do both these things at the same time. I can both face fears and love myself more. I mean, it's not mutually exclusive. Because in loving myself more through repetition of doing it over and over and over and making it a daily practice just to love myself. I mean, what a crazy concept, right? Like daily practice, love yourself. I have to train myself to do this. Whoa. Come on, homie. You got a lot of work to do. But I look forward to doing it. Because really, in that daily repetition of loving myself, I hope to change my subconscious programming. My, daily affirmations are a real mother-loving thing. Our brains learn through repetition when they aren't in a theta brainwave state, like hypnosis or mindful meditation. I didn't have unconditional love for my parents. Love for my parents was always conditional. Do X and receive affection or receive attention. And because those conditions were in place, means that what I experienced was not really love. So I have no grid or framework of what healthy self-love is, because my parents didn't know how to love themselves either. I guess the term self-love is not super accurate. Self-love is by definition what a narcissist is. Narcissists love themselves. So I've got to be careful with using this term, and I want to make sure to everyone, including myself, what this intent is, because I still have narcissistic tendencies that I have to deal with. And I'm not really sure that I've even begun to deal with these things yet. But self-love sounds better than self-like. Self-like doesn't really flow off the tongue very well. I guess a better term would be self-care. Self-care is definitely a better term. But man, it doesn't really sound so great to me. So I'm going to continue to use the term self-love in a non-narcissistic way, because I really believe the world needs more love. And the world needs to talk about love more often. Humans need to talk about love more often. And not just in this Western culture's version of sex equals love. I used to think that for a long, long time. If there wasn't sex involved, then it wasn't really love. And man, I've had my mind blown, especially by, Yogananda, and self-realization fellowship that, you know, there's so much more love out there than just sexual, intimate love. And I think humans just need to start recognizing this and talking about this more. I don't know if anyone's on Tumblr. That's probably like the one social media platform that I feel like nobody's on. But for me, it's like my favorite one. It's super easy to follow inspirational quotes, inspirational everything really, memes. You just follow things by hashtags. There's like no ads on it. And since nobody's on it really, there's no spam or shit. And you don't even have to follow these people, you know, your friends or whatever. You can just follow hashtags, and that's what I do. I mean, come on, memes are so great. I just want to know who's spending hours upon hours creating all of these wonderful things. I mean, I have no idea. It's not really my calling. But whoever is doing these things, if you're creating memes or posting quotes, man, I fucking love you. I love that you found this creative outlet in making yourself happy. And I just want to acknowledge that I fucking love them. And I love you for creating them. So thank you. Also with Tumblr, it's super random. You have no idea what you're really going to get. And that makes it great because I just focus my intent on something, and almost always something comes up that I've been searching for. So, for example, self-love. I'll go into Tumblr and just focus my intent on thinking, you know, what is self-love? What does self-love mean? And I get a mother-loving answer. It's so great. Because I need a reference. I need a framework of what self-love means. So I came across a meme that described self-care or self-love or whatever you want to call it. And it's pretty good. So I'm going to start with the memes that I found on Tumblr as a framework and the beginning of my concept of what self-love or self-care really is. And the meme says that self-love or self-care, whatevs, is ease, it's rest, it's time, it's choice, curiosity, kindness, attention, patience, adjusting to your environment, gentle, mindfulness, community, focus on the process, prioritizing, slowing down, exploration, pleasure, awareness, acceptance, support, presence, and attend to comfort. Whoa. I mean, these are pretty good. These are, I think, really good places for me to start. And I know this because most of these things are just words to me right now. They're not even concepts yet. I need to start focusing my intent on some of these or all of these eventually. And when I focus my intent on these words, they become concepts. They become concepts that I can figure out a metaphor of how it pertains to my life. And once I get the concept, once I have awareness of what that concept means to my life, you know, then I begin to integrate that concept into my life. And that's really my process, is, you know, having awareness around something new, you know, figuring out how that newness, that fresh whatever, how that applies to my life as a concept, and then integrating that concept into my daily life. You know, first you have to think about it, and then all of a sudden through repetition, it just becomes who you are. And that's pretty fucking amazing. That's how our brains work. You know, to go faster with this, you can focus on it in meditation, or you can do some self-hypnosis and and work on these things. I think for me, a general rule is like working 6 weeks on something, having it a daily practice, and all of a sudden it's hard to explain, but something in your mind just switches and all of a sudden you think differently. So I'm going to figure out what self-care and self-love means to me and how it pertains to me and how I can integrate all of these things into my experience. The other thing that really helps is that I do a lot of inner child healing work in meditation. I create these scenarios where, I have, I have a house that I picture in my mind. And when I go into that house, I start looking for myself as a child. That's my inner child. And I can ask where my inner child is and what he's doing, and I'll get an answer. And then I go to that place in the house and find my inner child and start having a dialogue, start having a conversation with myself as my inner child and figuring out what my needs and wants are. Because that's the thing with codependency, is that I never thought my needs or wants were valid. When your parents aren't validating your needs or wants or validating your feelings and emotions, you shut down these needs and wants. And in helping to heal my inner child, what I found is that I need to heal my adult child just as much. And that's why I'm doing these things. So I really feel like I'm working on both ends, which means to me that I'll be able to integrate these concepts of self-love and self-care, pretty quickly and pretty easily. And I'm really looking forward to this because focusing on your fears just drains you sometimes. You really have to have a balance. The Tao is the mother-loving way for sure, man. The middle path is the way. So I'm going to start with some self-care today by gifting myself a massage and a day at the Korean spa. I beat my spacesuit up pretty good just by causing myself all this internal stress from just my daily life, by judging myself, by not loving myself, by not having self-care or self-love. Plus I do a lot of Muay Thai and run up the hills here in LA, so I kind of need it. So it's going to feel good. That's the other thing about self-care and self-love, is that it feels good. That's the difference between narcissistic self-love and just self-care, is that you feel good just by giving that love to yourself. When you're a narcissist, you're in a whole other ball game, homie. It's for a whole other live stream for sure. But while being a narcissist might feel good to you, it doesn't feel good to other people around you because you don't have empathy for them. And that's kind of, for me, the big difference. And it's something that I will always continue to work on, because I am a recovering codependent narcissist for sure. Maybe not like all the way 100% clinical, but I got traits for show. And these traits aren't really me. That's the thing. These labels, they're not really me. They're just a story. And these are the stories that I'm trying to work beyond to reach my higher self. So thank you for letting me share all of this. And thank you for letting me be of service.